Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are all doing super well. So today we're going to be talking about what happened to 10-year-old Amberly Ann Mendoza. This one is very upsetting and honestly very scary. It truly is frightening how we can't even feel safe in our own homes. We can't feel safe with family around, and it's horrible how there are just some truly evil people out there that hurt little kids. Now, there really weren't that many articles talking about Amberly's case, so I wasn't able to find that many images or photos that I could include. So I do apologize for that, but I did my best to gather as much information as possible. But it truly is sad how there really isn't that much coverage on Amberly's case. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about in today's video. If you guys are new here, welcome, bienvenidos. Hopefully you guys can join the familia by clicking the subscribe button down below. If you guys ever want to see a recap of my videos, you guys can head over to my true crime TikTok. My username is Xoxo Jackie, and usually the day of or a few days later, I'll post a recap of my YouTube videos over there. So if you guys ever want a refresher, you guys can go check it out by clicking the link down below. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for being here and listening to Amberly's story. And let's jump right into the video. So Amberly Ann Mendoza was born on December 28, 1985 and was born and raised in Yuma, Arizona. She was a 4th grade student at Valley Horizon Elementary School and is described as a shy and sweet little girl. She loved eating pizza, rollerblading, and drawing pictures. Her mother, Veronica, says that her daughter was just a wonderful person and would always make time for her friends and her family. She was very close to her sisters, Jordan and Rita, and the three of them would often play dolls together and watch Disney movies. Veronica has a specific memory with her daughter, which is just the cutest thing ever. She says that anytime they made plans to go to the park or to go to the store, Amberly would always ask her mother if she could wear her high heels instead of wearing her sneakers, and her mother would just laugh about it and tell her, no, you can't wear high heels, it's not safe. But of course, the next time they made plans to go to the park or to the store, Amberly would once again try to convince her mother to let her wear high heels. It's just such a cute little story, and I really wish there was more information about who Amberly was as a person, but like I said, there really weren't that many articles about Amberly's case. So based on the few statements I was able to read, Amberly truly just seemed like such a wonderful and sweet little girl. So on Friday, March 8th, 1996, the Mendoza family started their day just like any other. The kids were currently on break from school, so they pretty much were free to do whatever they wanted to in the morning. They would often be playing in the yard, or they would just go hang out with their family. On this specific Friday, the Mendoza family was actually going to be hosting a barbecue later that night with some of their friends and family members. So it was supposed to be just a very fun and carefree day. Earlier that day, 10-year-old Amberly and her mother Veronica decided to have a little competition to see who could read the most books. Amberly would always try her hardest at whatever task was put in front of her, so she was determined to win this contest. If she was able to read 10 books by the end of the day, her mother was going to let her watch the Pocahontas movie later. So of course, Amberly really wanted that. So Amberly got to work and she tried to finish all 10 books, but 10 books is a lot. So she tried her hardest, but she wasn't able to finish all of the books. But her mother was still very proud of her because of how much effort she put into it, and she was happy that she read that day. So she decided to still let Amberly watch the Pocahontas movie later that night. So the day goes along and the family begins to prepare for the barbecue. Amberly's older sister Jordan and her aunt decided to step out of the house real quick to go to the store. When they got back from the store, they noticed something strange. There was a car parked in their driveway and there was a man just sitting there staring at the house. At first, her aunt figured that this might be another family member that was just arriving early to the party, or maybe just another friend that was stopping by. However, as Jordan and her aunt got a closer look at this man, neither one of them recognized him. And when this man realized that Jordan and her aunt were staring at him, he quickly peeled out of the driveway and just drove away. Now, of course, Jordan and her aunt did think that this was strange, but they also didn't think too much about it. They just figured that this was a strange occurrence, so they decided not to say anything about it and just continued on with their night. Soon, other family members and friends began trickling in, and everyone was just having a great time at this barbecue. Amberly was playing with her sisters, she was playing with other children at the party, she watched the Pocahontas movie, and she was just having a great time socializing with her family. People were pretty much coming and going from the house the entire night. They were hosting the barbecue in their backyard, but from statements that I've read, people were going inside the house to go use the restroom and, to get some extra food. I also read that a couple of family members did end up spending the night at the house after the party, but again, I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but that is what I read. So at around 11:30 p.m., Amberly starts to get a little bit sleepy, so she tells her family that she's going to bed. She says goodnight to her family and to the other people at the party. She walks over to her bedroom, cracks the window open to let in a breeze, and then goes to bed. Now, this is a one-story house, so Amberly's bedroom was on the ground floor. Normally, she shared this room with her sisters, but on this specific night, Jordan and Rita actually went to go spend the night at their grandmother's house. Amberly was supposed to go with them and also join them in the sleepover, but for some reason, she decided to stay back. So for tonight, Amberly was the only person sleeping in this room. The next morning, on Saturday, March 9th, Veronica woke up that morning and started making breakfast for Amberly and for the other family members that spent the night after the party. At around 11 a.m., she called out to Amberly and told her to come eat breakfast. However, when she called out for Amberly, she didn't get a response back. Now, Veronica just assumed that Amberly had woken up earlier that morning and had gone outside to play. Like I mentioned earlier, Amberly really liked to rollerblade, so she just figured that's what happened. So Veronica goes outside to look for Amberly, but she doesn't see her anywhere. She calls out Amberly's name, but again receives no response. So Veronica decides to walk back in the house and go check in Amberly's bedroom. When she walks into the room, that's when she comes across Amberly's lifeless body. She immediately called 911, and when the officers arrived to the house, they did confirm that Amberly had passed away. Of course, Amberly's family was just completely heartbroken by this. Veronica says that that Friday night was the first time that she hadn't tucked Amberly into bed. She says that as a mother, she always made sure to tuck her children into bed, but on this specific night, since there was a party going on, there was people all over the house, and she was just exhausted, she decided to just go to bed and not tuck Amberly into bed, which is something that she feels terrible about. I really can't imagine what Veronica was going through. I mean, just the day before, she was having a reading contest with her daughter, and then the next morning, her daughter is dead. It's just really heartbreaking, and it was just a lot for the family to take in. Now, Jordan and her sister were not at the house when this happened. Like I mentioned, they had gone over to their grandmother's house to spend the night. But Jordan says that she remembers the specific moment that her grandmother found out that Amberly had passed away. Jordan says that the house phone rang and her grandmother went to go pick it up. As she was on this call, her grandmother suddenly dropped the phone to the floor and just ran out of the room, screaming Amberly's name. Jordan could tell that her grandmother was upset, but she was also very confused as to why her grandmother was shouting her sister's name.
I was at my grandmother's when we got the phone call. I remember sitting in the living room. My grandma went over to the phone, answered it, and then all of a sudden she just runs out of the room screaming, throws the phone on the floor and just screaming my sister's name. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, what's going on? Like, why would my grandmother be screaming Amberly like that?
Now, I don't believe that Jordan's grandmother told her anything about Amberly in that moment. Jordan knew that something had happened, but she says that she never imagined that her sister was dead. Like, that's the last thing that she was expecting to hear. In fact, she didn't find out about what happened to Amberly until later that night. She had gone to the police station with her family and she saw her mother just sitting in a room crying. She could tell that her mother was just broken, and she says that her mother came up to her and said, "Jordan, your sister died." And Jordan says that in that moment, she didn't even ask her mother what happened to Amberly. She didn't ask about how her sister died. Like, she says she was in complete shock. She could not believe that this was actually happening. She says she was thinking to herself, is this true? Is my sister actually dead? I mean, just the day before she was playing with her sister and now she was gone. After her sister's death, Jordan says that the family home turned into a crime scene and they just never went back. Detectives were going through the house trying to find any type of evidence, and they also brought in the family for questioning. They asked Jordan and her sister, "Has your dad ever tried to touch you, and has anyone ever tried to harm you before?" Jordan told them no, of course not, like why would you even ask that? And she just felt very hurt that the police would even ask her something like that.
Because even when the detectives interviewed us, you know, they asked us questions like, hey, has your dad ever tried to touch you, or has anyone ever tried to hurt you before? No, like, of course not. Like, I can't believe that, that you would even think that.
She felt like her family was being attacked, and for a while, police truly believed that Amberly's mother and father were responsible for her death. Jordan says that anytime her mother would come back from the police station, she was always crying, and you could just tell that she was broken. Her mother felt like they were attacking her with all of these horrible questions and just crazy assumptions. I understand that police need to ask these questions, and of course, police always look at the family first, so I get it, they need to interrogate the family, but I definitely think there's a better way to go about it. The family literally told them that they didn't know who did this, they didn't know who could be capable of doing this, and they also said that they didn't even hear the attack happen. When Amberly went to bed, the family party was still going on, but literally no one heard anything. So again, I get why police are questioning them, but I definitely think they could have been more gentle about it. Since Amberly was found deceased on Saturday, police had to wait until Monday to conduct the autopsy. Amberly's body was taken to Tucson, Arizona, where her autopsy was conducted by a forensic pathologist. They discovered that Amberly had been sexually assaulted and that her cause of death was asphyxiation. She had been suffocated with her own pillow. With this information, police determined that between the hours of 11:30 p.m. on Friday, March 8th and 10:45 a.m. on Saturday, March 9th, somebody entered the Mendoza home and killed Amberly. According to an article from the Arizona Republic, it stated that the killer could have entered Amberly's bedroom through her window, which she had left cracked open in order to let in a breeze. There were also no signs of forced entry or any signs of a struggle. Now, whoever assaulted Amberly did leave their DNA behind. So police collected this DNA and they did do a test to see if it would match any of Amberly's family, and it didn't. Now, I don't know if they tested literally every single one of the family members or if they just tested the family members closest to Amberly. I'm not really sure how thorough they were with it, but because of these tests, police were able to clear Amberly's family. They eventually set up a hotline hoping that someone would call in and give police information that could lead them to Amberly's killer, but unfortunately, no one ever did. As for the Mendoza family, they were just as stuck. They literally had no idea who could have done this or why. Like, why would someone want to go hurt this young 10-year-old little girl? One of Amberly's cousins, named Melissa, says that she remembers a specific moment that she found out her cousin died. I believe Veronica was the one that called her and told her about her daughter's death, and she says that Veronica was just on the phone screaming and shouting about her daughter's death. And Melissa is on the other line, listening to all of this and just hoping that this is all a bad nightmare. She says that she was just so shocked and that this is something that you never think would happen to your family. She couldn't believe that this was real life, and she was hoping that this was just a dream and that Amberly would walk through the front door smiling again. This was just really hard for her to process because she was really close to her cousin. She says that Amberly would always make time to go visit her and play with Melissa's daughter. She would go to her house quite often because Amberly loved kids, she loved taking care of them, and she loved spoiling them. So she was always hanging out with her cousin. So of course, all of Amberly's family was just completely heartbroken. Along with the family, people from the community and people from Amberly's school were just as sad, but they were also very scared. One neighbor said that she was a stay-at-home mom when all of this happened and that her son just lived the street over from Amberly. So when she heard how Amberly had been murdered and assaulted, she was really scared for the rest of the community. The principal of Amberly's elementary school, named Cindy, said that when the staff members found out about Amberly's death, they were just all utterly shocked. They were startled about her death, and they were frightened for the other children in the family and for the children at school. I mean, there was literally a killer on the loose, so they had every right to feel scared. Everyone was on edge, and the school said that they were going to be offering counseling for the students and for the staff members to help them get through Amberly's death. And like I said, they truly had every reason to be scared. Someone literally climbed through her bedroom window, assaulted her, and murdered her in her own bedroom, all while her family was still home. It's just really crazy, and I can't imagine how scared the family felt and the community. So there was a wake service held for Amberly at the St. Francis of Assisi Church, and her funeral was also held there. In order to help pay for the funeral, the family started a memorial fund with the Arizona Education Association Credit Union, and I believe they were able to raise all the funds that they needed. Now, as the family was reflecting on what happened to Amberly, they began to remember some strange incidents that occurred before Amberly's death. As I mentioned earlier, the night of the barbecue, Jordan and her aunt had seen a strange man parked in their driveway staring at the house. I don't know if police ever looked into this, but I definitely think they should. I mean, if this guy wasn't a family member or wasn't a friend, there really was no reason for this man to be parked in their driveway staring at the house.
What we thought was weird was there was a car that was parked in our driveway, and we didn't know who they were. My aunt assumed it was either some other relative or a friend or somebody, but there was, she said that there was some guys sitting in it just kind of staring at the house. But as soon as they saw us, when we pulled up, they took off.
So I definitely think it is an odd situation, and hopefully police did look into that. So besides that incident, Jordan says that there were a few nights when Amberly would wake her up and tell her, "Jordan, there's someone standing outside my window." And Jordan would tell her, "No, you probably just heard a weird noise, like there's no one there." But she says that Amberly would be adamant about this and tell her, "No, I saw someone." In another instance, Jordan said that one night she heard a horrific scream coming from outside. Now this scream was so frightening and terrible that it truly scared her and her sister. So they ran over to the window to see what was going on, and that's when Jordan and her sister heard two men speaking outside. One of the men said, "Come on, dude, we gotta get out of here." And the other man replied saying, "Just calm down, dude, you need to relax." Jordan and her sister did think that this was very weird, but again, they're just little kids. So they didn't think they needed to tell their mom about this or tell anyone.
A few nights where she woke me up and said, "Jordan, there's somebody outside our window." And I said, "What? What are you talking about? Like you're probably just hearing some kind of noise." She goes, "No, Jordan, I saw someone. I heard this horrific scream right outside our house, and it scared me. And me and my sister, we ran to the window to see what was going on, and we see these two guys. And one guy's like, 'Come on, dude, we gotta get out of here. Come on, hurry up, dude, hurry up.' And then the other guy's like, 'Dude, just calm down. Just calm down. Just walk slow.' Again, being a little kid, I didn't think to say anything to anybody.
As a kid, I definitely would have been scared by this. This literally would have freaked me out so badly. But I don't know if I would have told my parents about it. I feel like I remember a few instances where I would see something weird as a kid, but I always kept it to myself because, I don't know, I was just a kid, so I didn't know what I needed to tell my parents about. But I definitely think it's important to talk to your kids about this and let them know that if they see something weird or if they feel like something is strange, they should definitely come forward and let you know. I know sometimes kids don't want to be dramatic or, make their parents angry or anything like that. So maybe that's why some kids keep this information to themselves. But I definitely think it's important to let your kids know that no matter how tiny the incident was, they should always come to you first. So Jordan says that oftentimes they would leave their window unlocked because they like to climb in and out of their bedroom window to go play outside. And their window was facing the street, so the neighbors did see them doing this. And really, anyone that was driving by could have seen the girls climbing out of the window, realize that the window was unlocked, and that girls slept in that bedroom.
We would just leave the window unlocked and go through the window, which everyone in the neighborhood could see us doing.
Now, Jordan and her sisters weren't the only ones that experienced something strange. Their mother, Veronica, also had a similar story to share. She says that this incident occurred around the same time that she was separating from her husband. So the family was having a difficult time getting used to being alone. So they decided to borrow a guard dog from another family member that they would put outside in the yard and help them protect the house. So Veronica says that one day she was in the backyard hanging some laundry. As she was doing this, she felt like someone was there standing with her. So Veronica feels that someone is standing there with her, and then she also begins to hear some movement. So she's looking around the yard, and that's when she hears the guard dog barking. She's thinking to herself, what is this dog barking at? Because I literally don't see anybody. So she quickly finished up the laundry and then headed back inside. As she was walking into the house, she heard someone go shh, and then she also heard them say, shut up, dog. So when Veronica heard the shh, she turned around to look outside, and she says that she saw someone standing behind one of their trees, but again, she doesn't know if this was just a figment of her imagination or if this was true. It was really dark outside, so she doesn't know if she actually saw this person. So a week before Amberly's death, this family member had actually gone back to the house and picked up the guard dog. So the guard dog wasn't there when Amberly was murdered.
Jordan said her mom shared a story with her once about a strange person in their backyard.
What is he barking at? And she thought it was maybe a cat or something, because again, he barked at anything. But right before she walked in the house, she heard someone go, shh, shh, shut up, dog.
Now, all of these instances are very scary, and I do wonder if they actually are related to Amberly's death. But unfortunately, that's pretty much all the information we have on Amberly's case. It has now been over 25 years since Amberly's death, and the person responsible for taking her life away is still out there. Sergeant Franklin from the YPD said, "It's been one of those homicides that have really affected the community because it has been so long. I mean, this literally happened in 1996, and we are now in 2022. It's just crazy how long it's been, and this detective says that several people have been interviewed in regards to Amberly's case, but nothing new has ever come up. In regards to the DNA that they collected, police say that they're just waiting for this DNA to come back as a match. They did submit the DNA to a national database, so if a match ever does come back, the Yuma Police Department will be immediately notified, and this will hopefully bring them closer to a suspect." One detective on the case said that every single person of interest in this case has been investigated and have had their DNA tested against the one found on Amberly's body, but none have ever came back as a match. There was a halfway house across the street from Amberly's home, so police did go there to investigate all the members of the halfway house, and they ultimately cleared them.
There is DNA in the case, or suspect DNA. It's been entered into a database, and we're literally just waiting for a potential hit or a confirmation, a match on that DNA.
So truly, police are just stuck. They really don't have any leads, and over the years, several detectives have revisited the case, and the case is still open today. Veronica hopes that other parents can learn from Amberly's death. She says, "Always pay attention to your children. Everyone really needs to be careful with their children and always love them as much as possible." Again, I cannot begin to imagine what Amberly's mother and the rest of her family was going through, so truly, my thoughts and prayers go out to the family. Amberly's death is just so unfair, and it shouldn't have happened. It broke my heart when I was reading about how Veronica didn't tuck Amberly into bed that night, and how she feels so much regret about that. It's really sad, and I hope that Veronica doesn't put any blame on herself. I just truly pray that whoever killed Amberly is found and punished for what they did. Now, Jordan believes that Amberly's death was planned. She feels that someone was watching her house and her family for a while. This person watched their family, they knew when they all went to bed, who slept in what room. I mean, she believes that this person just knew everything about them. That this person planned this for a while and that now they're long gone.
Molly, I really think that it was something that was planned. I really think it was somebody watching our home and our family for a while.
Jordan says that this is such a mystery and she still can't understand why this happened. Like, why her family? Why her sister? Just why? At the end of the day, all the family truly wants is closure and answers. A few years after Amberly's death, a victims advocacy center was created called Amberly's Place. The Yuma Family Advocacy Coalition established Amberly's Place to provide assistance in cases of child abuse, domestic abuse, elder abuse, sexual assault, and in cases of human trafficking. This program brings together law enforcement officials, victims advocates, attorneys the families can use to help their cases, protective services, mental health providers, and medical professionals. They assist victims and their families with the healing process, and they also provide immediate crisis intervention. So if someone needs to obtain an order of protection, or if someone is going to court to testify against their attacker and they don't feel safe, Amberly's Place will provide them with an escort that will go with them and make them feel as comfortable and safe as possible, which is just amazing. I was going through their website just reading about all of the services that they offer, and I wish there were organizations like this all over the world because what they're doing is truly powerful. They're just trying to provide a safe place for victims to come forward and get the help that they need. So for example, if a child comes in and unfortunately they were sexually assaulted, Amberly's Place provides them with all of the support that they need. They would take the child and their family to a room that's comforting, and it's not just like a white hospital room that looks scary and, very institutional. The rooms are colorful and they just help the kids feel more comfortable. Amberly's Place also has their own medical professionals that are on call 24/7. So they will come in and they'll talk to your child and they'll do the medical exam on them, all while making sure that they're as comfortable and safe as possible.
Amberly's Place is a family advocacy center, the only one that exists in Yuma County.
Amberly's Place to law enforcement is a gift.
Without Amberly's Place, we would probably step back 25 years in the way we investigate child-related crimes.
I can play a role in the healthy development of children and families.
Everyone plays a role.
Together.
Together.
Together. Together. Together. Together.
Together. Together.
Together. We can prevent abuse.
In 2019, Amberly's Place celebrated 20 years of being voices for those in need, and they decided to host a Dream Gala. At the gala, they held a silent auction benefiting more than 2,000 victims that go through the center every year and begin their journey from victim to survivor. The keynote speaker at the gala was actually Ed Smart, who's the father of Elizabeth Smart. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned Elizabeth on this channel before, but if you guys aren't familiar with who Elizabeth Smart is, she was a young 14-year-old girl who was kidnapped for 9 months and eventually found and reunited with her family. So her father was at this gala sharing his daughter's story from a father's perspective. He talked about how the community at Amberly's Place is truly making a difference in the lives of victims. At the end of the day, all Amberly's Place wants people to know is that even when the worst things happen, there is life after abuse. You can survive and you can still have a happy life. So truly, Amberly's Place is just so amazing. So I will link their website down below if you guys want to read more about it. They do accept donations, so I went ahead and made a donation on behalf of the familia to Amberly's Place. If you guys would like to make your own donation, that would be amazing. But if you can't, that's totally fine. You can continue to help by sharing Amberly's story and keeping her case out there. If you have any information about Amberly's murder, please contact the Yuma Police Department at 928-373-4700, or if you wish to remain anonymous, you can call 1-800-78-CRIME. As I said, this case is still under investigation, and the Yuma Police Department is asking anyone with information to please come forward. Again, my thoughts and prayers go out to Amberly's family, and I hope that you all get closure soon. But yeah, you guys, that's pretty much all the information I have for today's video. I would love to know what you guys think about this down below, and if there's ever any other cases you guys would like me to cover, make sure to submit it through my case suggestion form linked down below, or you can also leave a comment. But yeah, thank you guys again so much for being here and listening to Amberly's story. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys!